Black History Month to me gives us an opportunity to learn about our history, regardless of what age you are.
Black history and culture is a lot more extensive than what we may have learned in class.
I think it's important for all of us to really participate in these conversations and take them really seriously to try and learn and expand our minds so that we can have the kind of future that, we want to have.
Starting off with the question, what does Black History Month mean to me? It grants an opportunity both for Black voices to be granted a platform. Although they should have a platform all year round, I think it's a month for other people will listen to those sort of voices a lot more, especially because there's a month sort of given to that.
For me, Black history is an opportunity for all of us to actually learn about our history. In school, the only Black history we learn is the history of suffering, colonialism and slavery. We never learn about, any of the great history we have, any of the royal history, the history of our music, our culture.
Black History Month, it's like a really ambitious thing to try to do because Black history is so expansive and Black cultures are so different. The cultures within being Black is completely different. Like there's no monolith for Black culture and for Black people, but it's good to have a month where you can really focus on those shared experiences that we do have, even between one country in Africa, between different tribes. The traditions and histories can be so different that I think it's important that other people as well don't just lump us all in as being oh yeah, Black history because I'm sorry for slavery, when there's it's more nuanced than that.
A lot of the racism we talk about, we only seem to refer to what happened with West Africa and how that spread around the world. For example, I don't think we touch on the racism that East Africans suffer under the Arab world, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? For example, I don't know how many people know. I feel like a lot of people really don't. But if you go to Dubai and Saudi Arabia and Qatar and all these countries, they have all these nice, beautiful, tall buildings. A lot of it was built using modern day slave labor, most of which were East African workers. So I think it's really important for us in Africa as a collective to actually talk about the things that go on in our country and not just focus on one side.
Yeah, because I think people see it as when it comes to Black issues, it's Black v white, but that's really not the case, because even amongst people of color, even though we're supposed to be a collective and we do face oppression together, all of us, the experiences can be really different, and you can face a lot of anti-Blackness from communities that claim that yeah, we're minorities too, or under the boot as well. It's about acknowledging that as well, acknowledging things we do to each other, the obsession with my dad's family have an obsession with fairness. My mum is African, but my dad is Indian, and it's something that the Black community have as well.
And this is in colorism.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a big issue with colorism, and they don't seem to, my dad doesn't seem to understand where the link is with racism, and I'm there is a big link, because it's not seen as a good thing to be dark, and most Black people are dark.
From what I've sort of experienced in my own culture, especially with the whole colorism thing, and especially in the South Asian community, you can bring in sort of colonialism as reasons for contributing to that, but at the end of the day, those conversations need to happen to try and move on from that, because it's still heavily ingrained in our community. You may have heard of the caste system and stuff like that. There's a lot of that that's been part of our history as well, but it also needs to be spoken about. It's definitely not a Black v white thing. It's also something that needs to be spoken about between communities.
What our communities don't do is acknowledge that all our issues are inherently different. They're not exactly the same. It's all racism, but it affects all of us in a very different way. And I think for us to ever move on, we have to acknowledge that. Which is why a lot of people feel very touchy about being put under the umbrella term of, Black and ethnic minority or minority ethnic, because people try to paint us all with the same brush, even though we all have completely different struggles and, pasts.
In terms of, I think there's a clear difference between actually being an active ally and being an ally because it's something that is being talked about and you want to make sure you share information. But how would you guys say it's probably a demonstration of proper allyship, to especially during Black History Month?
So to be really self-aware of your motivations and from where you may be kind of being a performative activist or performing activism for the sake of like social approval or being like woke, if it's to benefit you or benefit your reputation, then it's just surface level and you're not really doing anything. And I think it's really important as well to actually listen to like people's experiences and let them tell you firsthand without immediately feeling attacked or feeling victimized, you know, because sometimes it's just not always about you.
I think first and foremost, the best thing you can do is educate yourself, especially educate yourself before you go and educate others. That is the number one thing, because I don't think this is something that is going to be fixed now. I think it's going to take generations. You know, it's all well and good retweeting. Obviously, still retweet and share things that you think are educational to people, but just you educating yourself and the people around you already, like that's big enough, because if everybody did that, then it would have a huge impact